welcome to Panther Sports Zone. I'm Drew Brewer.
And I'm Caleb Carter.
Over the weekend, the Prairie View softball and baseball teams took on Arkansas Pine Bluff and Southern University, respectively. Caleb Carter has more on the story. Caleb?
Thanks, Drew. Both teams took down their opponents in a three-game series, the baseball team sweeping the Jaguars and the softball team winning 2-1. More on that story with this video.
It was a busy weekend on the Hill, as both the baseball and softball teams took home field action against the Southern Tigers and the Lions of UAPB, respectively. The baseball team brought out the brooms as they swept the series against Southern. The softball team took care of business, falling short only once to win the series 2-1. Both teams returned to action this week, with both games being set to be played here at PV on Tuesday and Wednesday, respectively. This is Caleb Carter reporting for the Panther Sports Zone.
Thanks, Caleb. The Prairie View A&M men and women's golf teams are set to participate in the 2022 Southwestern Athletic Conference Championships this week, starting today and running until the Wednesday. The tournament shall be determined based on the 54th hole competition if weather permits, and 36 holes shall constitute as the minimum acceptance holes, determining a champion. Should the final round be started but can't be completed by all teams, the scores following the 36 holes shall be used to determine the champion. The Panthers men team will look to defend its crown after winning the last three championship titles, led by junior Rodarius Walters, whose best placement this season was a second-place finish at the BCGCA Houston National Tournament. On the women's side, they are led by junior Taylor Harvey, who has several top 10 finishes in tournaments this year for the Lady Panthers golf team. Good luck to both teams as they compete in the SWAC championships.
Prairie View A&M University head bowling coach Glenn White has announced that Jada Gordon and Miranda Fuentes have signed national letters of intent to Prairie View A&M University and joining the 2022-23 bowling team. Gordon, a right-handed bowler from Clarksburg, Maryland, and is currently a senior under Coach Arlen Holmes at Clarksburg High School. She has been bowling for 13 years competitively for 9. In 2021, she was a Billy Gadsden USBC Master, placing 7th place in the DMV Collegiate Tournament, and was the 2021 Baltimore City Tournament All-Events Girl Champion. She was also a participant in the Junior Gold Tournament in 2018, 19, and 21. Along with the above accolades, Gordon was a Mid-Atlantic Junior Sports Shot in League Tournament winner, 2019 Virginia State Pepsi Youth Bowling U15 Girls Champion, and has even bowled a 300 game. The other recruit, Miranda Fuentes, bowls with Langham Creek High School here in Houston, Texas. The native has accolades dating back to 2020, where she had a high game of 256 in league play, as well as participated in the Teen Masters. During the 2021 season, she earned a game high of 267 during her Saturday league play. She was a junior gold participant in the summer of 2021. Recently, Fuentes bowled a high series during the 2022 high school state event bowling team with a 674 series and finished as a runner-up in the singles event. White, who recently finished in his 18th season as the head coach of the Lady Panthers, has guided PVAMU to their 5th SWAC regular season championship title this past season. He was named Coach of the Year in the conference for the 5th time. When we come back, we'll go over the upcoming tennis SWAC championships, new coaching hire at Alabama State, and historic WNBA draft. Don't go anywhere after the break.
Stem is precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to send those old STEM theories flying past the neighbor's house into outer space. Dare to program something internet-breaking, record-breaking. Dare to blow their minds. Dare to learn the difference between sedimentary and metamorphic rock. Go find those rocks. Dare to keep daring. Dare to STEM. Check out She Can STEM to get started.
STEM is precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to send those old STEM theories flying past the neighbor's house into outer space. Dare to program something internet-breaking, record-breaking. Dare to blow their minds. Dare to learn the difference between sedimentary and metamorphic rock. Go find those rocks. Dare to keep daring. Dare to STEM. Check out She Can STEM to get started.
What do an aerospace engineer,
Hello,
cancer
and welcome back to
immunologist,
Panther
and
Sports
bat
Zone.
scientist all have in common?
Today, the SWAC announced the seeding for the men and women's tennis SWAC championship. 6 teams on both sides will have qualified for the SWAC, while the top 2 seeds automatically advance to the semifinal seeds, where they will face the winners of the number 4 and number 6 matchup, as well as the number 3 and number 5 matchup. On the women's side, Jackson State earned the number 1 overall seed with a flawless 9-0 record in the SWAC. At the spot number 2, Alabama State wasn't too far behind with a record of 8-1. In Prairie View, Prairie View A&M, Alabama A&M, Alcorn State, and Florida A&M round out the remaining 4 teams. On the men's side, 2022 SWAC regular season champion Alabama State enters the tournament as the number 1 seed after competing an undefeated slate in the league action. Jackson State claimed the number 2 seed, while Alcorn claimed number 3 in the seed tournament, following by number 4 being Alabama A&M. The last 2 spots went to the 5 seed with Prairie View and number 6 as Mississippi Valley State. The SWAC championships are set to begin this Friday, April 22nd, and conclude on Sunday, April 24th.
Now we switch and talk a little bit about SWAC basketball, as Alabama State's Director of Intercollegiate Athletics, Dr. Jason Cable, recently announced Tony Madlock as the head basketball coach for the Hornets. Madlock comes to Alabama State after spending a year as the head coach at South Carolina State, in which his team finished 15-16 overall and 7-7 in the MEAC, falling to Morgan State in the conference tournament. The Bulldogs recorded non-conference victories over South Florida, High Point, Tennessee State, and the Citadel, and Charleston Southern. They averaged 71.8 points per game while shooting 39.3% from the floor, while also leading the nation in offensive rebounds, averaging 15.23 boards per game. They also finished 3rd in the country in total rebounds per game at 41.81, trailing only Buffalo and Gonzaga. Lastly, last Tuesday, Alabama State officially introduced Madlock at the press conference inside the ASU Stadium Club Lounge. The event began at 11:30 a.m. and was open to the general public.
In the WNBA draft held last week, Jackson State University basketball star Amisha Williams-Holiday was selected in the WNBA draft by the Indiana Fever. Williams-Holiday was selected with the 25th overall pick in the draft, becoming the first HBCU player selected in the WNBA since 2002, and is the 2nd SWAC player and the 6th player from an HBCU selected in the history of the league. Williams-Holiday is the 2nd highest drafted HBCU player in league history. In her collegiate career, Williams-Holiday averaged 16.1 points, 11.2 rebounds, and 2.9 blocks per game. The JSU product also was named first-team All-SWAC in 2020, 2021, and 2022, in addition to being selected the SWAC Defensive Player of the Year every year since 2020. For the 2021-2022 season, Williams-Holiday led the conference in scoring, rebounds, field goals, percentage, and blocks on her way to being named SWAC Player of the Year. So, with that being said, Caleb, how does this momentum go in for WNBA, and how does this go in for HBCU players?
I honestly think it's huge for the momentum of HBCUs and heading into the WNBA, because, I mean, Jackson State, they were a great team, the women's team. I mean, it was only a matter of time that HBCU player on the women's side was drafted to the WNBA. And, I mean, I was able to watch the NCAA tournament when Jackson State played against LSU. And let me tell you, if it had not been on LSU's home court, Jackson State may have very well been the victor in that game. So, I mean, it's great to see HBCU players getting drafted. And, I mean, it was only a matter of time. And we hope to see more HBCU players getting drafted.
Right. This being the first HBCU player since 2022 for the WNBA really does give more more advancement for the WNBA. You know, now we have players such as her going into the WNBA. We have other players like the Alabama State O-lineman who was drafted in around the first round. So now we're getting all these prevalent people from HBCUs, and now you're seeing that these professional sports are really taking an interest into that, and especially for the WNBA, not as many people watch it, or it's not as popular as the regular NBA, but just for them to go out and get an HBCU player, that is just as time that HBCUs nowadays are getting more and more relevance and stuff, people are starting to look more into it. It's a really good thing that, this league took the time to really focus on not just where the players were, but the actual player. This player has coming out 16 points, 2.9 blocks. 2.9 blocks, that's 3 blocks damn near a game.
Right.
So that's right there is something that is really influential to all the other HBCU players, men and women, especially for the women's going into the WNBA. So now we have momentum coming into that, so now people can see, now they're looking at me, I have a chance to go make it to the big times and everything. So that's a really good thing that I think is really well.
Right, and I mean, I would say that it's been the fault of the leagues, right, that they just weren't seeing the talent that HBCUs had to offer. Because, if you look in all these leagues, the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, wherever you want to look, Hall of Famers have been attendees of HBCUs. So to see Miss Amisha Holiday go 25th in the WNBA draft, it was only right, because, like I said, the Jackson State team was such a great team, and it was a matter of time for one of those players to be selected.
All right. So then, like you said, just now that getting all these accolades or getting all this recognition is now being able to give HBCUs and people that actually thinking about coming to the HBCU now. I know there's probably some people who want to go to the leagues, whether that's NFL, MLB, NBA, WNBA, but they always see PWI people go. So now they're kind of like, I don't want to go to HBCU because I don't have my opportunities to really make it to the big times. But now that you're seeing, Miss Amisha Williams being able to get into there, now a young lady could see there and be like, you know what, she went to Jackson State HBCU, that she got drafted first round, now I want to go to Jackson State, or I want to go to Prairie View, or I want to go to any HBCU. And that goes for any of the leagues, no matter what sport, now people are getting more recognition of what an HBCU means to come. And then when people come here, they love it. Right. It's a different feeling from a PWI.
Right.
We might not have as much as the PWIs have, but the culture and the vibe that you get around at being at an HBCU is something that is very much important. And now that we're actually showing that we have the talent, just because they might not be at a big time school doesn't mean that you're not talented. And that goes for anybody. Anybody can show talent, and they will find you wherever you are. If you really put in the work and you really are dedicated to the craft that you want to put in, they will find you. And that's just a matter of what it is when it comes down to that.
Right, and I think that's a great point, to be honest with you. And I guess just finishing up for me, because you just said it all, because we see these kids, what they say is the HBCUs don't get that same exposure that these big Power Fives that they get, so they end up going to those schools rather than coming over to the HBCUs. But what we see with Miss Amisha getting drafted is that if you're a dog, right? For lack of a better term, if you're a great player, the scouts are going to notice you. They're going to pick up on the talent. So it really doesn't matter, like you said, about the facilities that a school may or may not have, the revenue that they may or not get. But if you have the talent, we know that those scouts will now come and get you.
Right. Well, since today was such a short interview, we don't have an interview today, but still, we're always welcome here to bring in the alumni and bring in all those to watch him coming in the Panther Sports Zone. And that'll be all for today's episode of Panther Sports Zone. Make sure to tune in every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5:30 p.m. for more Panther sports news and information around the SWAC. Once again, I'm Drew Brewer.
And I'm Caleb Carter.
And we're signing out.
Out of here.